Hey, happy Saturday. So great news. We are submitting an offer on a house with a client today. She's not a first-time home buyer, but it has been a while since she's owned a home, so she's really excited about that. So why should a buyer work with an agent? So let me tell you about this house that we actually looked at a different house last night, and thought it might be the one, and then it wasn't quite the one. So I said, hey, what else? It's tomorrow, Saturday. Let's set up some showings. I said, oh, this house just came on the market. We would kind of like to see it. Let's have a showing of it. So last night I scheduled a showing at the house we wanted to see, and woke up this morning to a notification that the house had been withdrawn off the market and the showing was canceled. And I was kind of disappointed, and my buyer was disappointed. So what I did was, instead of us just kind of shaking our heads and being like, oh, that kind of stinks, is I found the seller's agent. I found her phone number, and I texted her, and I just said, hey, listen, this came off the market. It was on the market. We had a showing. It got canceled. And, can you give me any insight on that? Something like that. And the seller's agent said, oh my gosh, we're having technology issues. Please show the house. We would love for you to come have a showing. If my buyer wasn't working with me, she probably would not have had that conversation with the seller's agent. And I just finished the contracts for that house. My buyer's going to sign them, and we're going to send over an offer to the seller, and hopefully possibly go under contract today, which is really good because that home had a open house scheduled for tomorrow. So my buyer has the opportunity to get this contract in before there's even an open house. And really, it's not like, oh my gosh, Melanie did such a great job. It's just, I have access to some information. I can look at it and say, okay, it was on the market for less than a day and it came back off the market. Something's not right here. Let me check with the listing agent. I can see those kinds of things, as well as seller's disclosures and things like that on the back end of HAR, that if you're not a realtor, you can't see them. Seller's disclosures are going to be things that have, the seller goes through into the best of their knowledge, checks off all the boxes of there has or hasn't been foundation issues, there has or hasn't been roof repairs, all of these kinds of things that you're going to want to know if you're considering putting in an offer on the house, that you can find out even before you go under contract and get an inspection, because those kinds of things might affect what you're thinking about making an offer for, or things like that. So it's not like I did an amazing job. It's not to toot my own horn, but it's just the fact that as a realtor, I have access to things on HAR that the normal consumer doesn't. And if my buyer hadn't been working with me, she wouldn't have had the showing scheduled. She wouldn't have had the before she even texted me and said, hey, this house doesn't look like it's on the market anymore, I was already texting the listing agent, so I was taking care of that for her. And so now we have the opportunity to put an offer on this house that is really, she thought she liked the one yesterday, but it wasn't quite the right fit. She loves this one so much more. So just things to think about. There are things that you can, as a buyer, you don't have to work with a real estate agent. But there are things like that if you don't want to handle on your own, and you want some expert help and some professional help at this whole thing, suggesting, as the buyer, you get to choose what price you want to offer, but as a realtor, I can give you some suggestions, say, hey, think about this, think about that. This house has some work that you're going to need to do when you move in. This one has some things that you want to fix, but you're like, hey, we can fix those down the line. All of those go together when you're a buyer. So just, like I said, it doesn't cost you anything as a buyer to work with an agent. Typically the way it works is that buyers' agents are compensated out of the seller's side. Everything is negotiable, but that's what is typical. And so it doesn't cost you anything to have a professional on your side helping you negotiate with the professional on the other side, that is the seller's agent. So like I said, we've gotten the contracts. I've got all the contracts done. I sent them over to my buyer, and my buyer's going to sign those contracts, and then we're going to send them on over to the seller and hopefully go under contract on a house today. A house that, as of this morning, something happened and was no longer listed on the market, but I got with the listing agent, figured out what happened, and now we're putting in an offer. So I hope that gives you something to think about. Definitely, if you're considering buying or selling, let me know how I can help you. And I hope you have an amazing Saturday. It's beautiful out there, and I can't wait to soak up the rest of this summer. So y'all have a great day.